I didn't get it either. I didn't fully get it either. Not at that time, but I get it now. I got it some time ago, a little while back. My final year of high school, I achieved all A's and set out to work hard. I moved to Atlanta again, this time for a very long time, enrolled in school, got 3 jobs, 1 full-time job, 2 part-time jobs, and I worked my ass off. I believe then, and I still do now, work hard, play hard. You have not heard a single speech of mine, yet you want to say we somehow climbed from the same ladder with the same equal amount of opportunity. Or put me on the same level as someone you have said murdered someone in the name of protest. I find that unbelievable since you know me. I'm not complaining about my life and how it turned out, but I know how hard my grind has to be to get where I'm going, and that still provides no protection from having heaps of racism, anti-blackness, injustice, differential and unfair imbalanced treatment, and racial discrimination from happening in high volumes that it occurs with me and people of color. That includes sentiments of colorism and other assorted sinister forms of prejudice and hierarchy rooted in racism and discrimination. This would also be inclusive of other marginalized groups, including people with disabilities. But somehow, all of his remarks seem to parallel himself with anybody else in a marginalized group. My friend is 6'7" that I'm talking about. He's 6'7". He has ocean blue eyes. He looks like Mr. friggin' Olympia. He also was a model. And people aren't throwing opportunities at you, and you're a white male. There have been studies done a long time ago how people get treated based on their universal appeal and attraction. If you're an attractive person, that's even a privilege. You will get treated better than other people. Like I said before, we all have privilege, but it's how do you use that privilege? And some of us have more than others. So I'm trying to get to the end of it. I guess I wrote a little more. I said I was gonna go, but I wrote, maybe I failed myself by not going through my own secret challenge of posting every single day racism happened to me on social media. Because I had said that to myself. I was like, just thinking about, like, I would tell people my stories and people of color would believe me because they would be like, yeah, wow, that happened to me too. But I knew my white friends, no matter how close I was to them, I knew they didn't believe. They would ask me questions like, how do you know that's racism, Mario? How do you know that's racism? So maybe I failed myself by not going through my challenge of posting every single day racism happened to me on social media. I thought about it for about 20 minutes one day and was overwhelmed, and I couldn't take it. I thought, surely my white friends do not deserve that. They didn't sign up for that. I can tell you, I don't deserve that. No one does. No human being deserves to be treated unfairly and unjustly and should have to bear the burdens of racism and institutionalized racism. I have to go, and I'll leave you with this, still writing to him. If you cannot truthfully and honestly locate yourself on the map, how can you find your way to your destination? And of course, we all know that's about admitting that you're racist. How can you undo racism and become an anti-racist if you can't say or admit or know where you are on the map? It's not that you have to stay there. That's what the map is for, to get you from one place to the other. So I wrote, yep, some may find it haphazardly, you know, like the lady who accused Emmett Till. We all know who Emmett Till is, right? He was a little black boy visiting from Chicago, and a white woman, and I don't know if she was even married, maybe she was engaged, but I don't know her status, I don't really care. But she accused Emmett Till of winking at her. Winking. He winked at her. That's what she said. And maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But let me tell you what happened to Emmett Till. Emmett Till was kidnapped by a mob of white men. He was beaten to death. He was shot in the head. Then he was tied to a cotton gin fan. And it's a large apparatus, maybe about that big or so, tied to a cotton gin and thrown into a river. When they found his body, he was deformed. So you know what his mother did? His mother insisted on having an open casket funeral to show the world what happened to her son, Emmett Till. That was the equivalent of having George Floyd die on camera. Because if it doesn't happen on camera, it didn't happen to black people. It doesn't happen to people of color. It doesn't happen to marginalized people. If it's not captured on camera, there's an intense amount of difficulty to believe that it's true. She had an open casket and showed the world what they did to Emmett Till. How horrific that was, go look at the pictures. There are pictures of him. Go look. Don't say, oh, I don't want to see that, Mario. No, I don't want to see stuff. Go look. She lived through it. The rest of America bear witness to it. I look at those pictures. I look at them every year. At least every year. Go look so you can see the ugly face of hate, the ugly face of racism. Take a good look. Another thing I like to do, not like to do, another thing I do, because I don't like to do it, but another thing I consciously do when I look at lynching pictures. I no longer really look at the black man or person that's being lynched or hung from a poplar tree. I look at the faces in the crowd around that are watching. Have you ever taken the time to look at the faces of the people? And it's like, wow, that's like somebody I could be friends with today. And they just sit, look in complacency. It's horrifying. to see that they look so regular and average. That should embarrass us as a nation. That should embarrass us as humans, human beings all over the world. So back to my point, if you cannot truthfully and honestly locate yourself on the map, how can you find your way to your destination? Yes, some may find it haphazardly, but the road to not being racist and to becoming anti-racist, somebody text me, Jesus. And the road to becoming an anti-racist can be found in a more expedient way. I know you're big mad about me calling you racist, and I don't care about that part. But I'd be a liar if I said I didn't care about you or my friends and all those who agree with you on my Facebook that are my friends. You're not the only one who doesn't believe me. You're not the only one that doesn't believe in the vast inequalities that distinguishes the difference between us. I wish there was no difference at all. All I ever wanted to be, all I ever was and is Mario. That's all. That's all I ever wanted to be. That's the only identity I wanted to be able to classify or identify. I just wanted to be Mario. No matter what it is I was doing, no matter where I was walking down the street in the world, that's the only thing I wanted to really be seen as. I remember being pissed off as a child seeing the check boxes on school tests that requested my racial identity and description and demographic. I thought as a child, the people on this planet will never get it together and know what it really means to be human. Why can't we just be human? I would ask my parents, and that's how I heard so many stories about how they grew up and their lives before they left the South. Both of my parents were born in the South. I was born in Detroit, Michigan. But they both left the South as a way to escape racism. My dad went into the military. That was his escape. He'd rather go and fight in the Vietnam War than to stay in America in racist Fort Valley, Georgia. And my mom, her mother, moved to Detroit, Michigan for a better way of life for them, but left my mom behind 2 years while she got established in Detroit, Michigan before she could go back and get her children. With my mom being the oldest girl in the family, she was the one taking care of her brothers and sisters at 9 years old. My mom had to function and operate as an adult at 9 years old and take care of other little children that were her brothers and sisters. That's just some of the ways of how Black people lived back then. There have been some improvements, but we are not there yet. We are not even close